Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Zach's Credit Card Guide. We've got a couple cool stories to talk about this week, so let's not waste any time, get right into it. First is an update on the stimulus payments. You may or may not already know this because it may or may not be in your account already, but the COVID relief bill did get signed. It's all good to go. We'll see if there will be additional payments. I'm a little skeptical, but the $600 should be going out to those who are eligible. Now, we already talked about eligibility and everything in the last video we did about this. Also, I'm going to put a link for the official IRS portal that tells you all the information about this stuff, including if you're eligible, has all the details and everything. So I'm going to put a link for that down at the top of the show notes if you want to go check that out for more details. But the short version is the payment started going out this past Wednesday, a few days ago. And mine showed up immediately. I saw the pending payment in my account already. So especially if you had it direct deposited last time, it's probably already in your account by the time we're watching this video. But if you got a paper check or one of the debit cards last time, the IRS said you may still get it that way again, but they also said you may get it the opposite way. Basically, if you don't have direct deposit set up from your last tax return, if that's not how you got the last stimulus payment, you will be getting either a debit card or a check, either one, in the mail pretty shortly. Part of this bill is that the IRS and the Treasury Department have to stop sending payments by January 15th. For those who don't have it by then, you'll just have to file it with your tax return. This year is how you'll get that. So basically you're going to get a credit for that payment. Now, this kind of sucks if you don't already have direct deposit set up. Again, this would be from your tax return last year. That's just how it is right now. Again, I don't know why. I'm sure there's some reason for it, but that's the story there. So if you don't see your payment by a few days after the 15th, again, if you're getting a check or a debit card, you might just have to wait to file your taxes, which if you're in that spot, again, depending on your situation, maybe just file your return as quick as you can so you can get that stimulus payment. It kind of sucks that they had to tie it to that because the whole point is to put money into people's pockets. It's only $600, which if you're in a really tight spot, that may or may not go very far. And it kind of sucks that a lot of people are going to be delayed even more until they file their tax return to get that little bit of money. But that is what it is. So just so you know, if you don't see it by a couple days past the 15th, you may just have to get it on your tax return. Now, also something that we mentioned in the first stimulus video we did quite a while ago, way back when in early 2020, is that there are scams with this, and I'm sure those same people are going to be doing it again. Just be very wary of anybody who calls you and says that they need information from your IRS stimulus debit card or something like that. Do not give any information to these people. A lot of people were reporting phone calls like, hey, we had a problem over here. We just need the number on your debit card to tie it to your file or whatever. If anybody calls you purporting to be from the IRS, really any time, just ignore them. But remember, there are scams with this stimulus money, so best just to ignore those phone calls and potentially emails, I guess, too. Our second story this week is talking about the much awaited, much anticipated relaunch of the Pathfinder rewards card from the Pentagon Federal Credit Union, commonly called PenFed. This used to be kind of a niche, super-powered, under-the-radar card that not a lot of people knew about, not a lot of people talked about, but the old version was pretty sweet, had a lot of cool benefits, namely an airline incidental credit, but no annual fee. Now, I didn't pick it up at the time when it was open for applications last time before they shut it down because I was really watching my 524 status and it didn't make a ton of sense, and I figured maybe it'll be there later, but like can happen in this hobby, they shut it down for new applications pretty suddenly and they were hinting at a refresh. But we didn't really know when it was coming, what it was going to look like, really anything, until now. So the card is back, it's got the same name, it's the PenFed Pathfinder Rewards, and there's some changes from last time, but it's still potentially a no-brainer card and could be pretty interesting depending on how you want to use it. So looking at the new version, first change is now there is an annual fee. I kind of saw this coming. Again, the old card was pretty unsustainable with credits, but no annual fee. It's kind of a niche credit union, but still that's really not sustainable. So now it does have a $95 annual fee, but there are ways to get around that. The first way to get a waived annual fee on this card is to be a member of the military. This is pretty common with a lot of issuers, but you would think more especially with a credit union kind of tied to the federal government and the military community. So that's one way to get it waived. For everybody else, the other way to get that annual fee waived is to have the Access America checking account with PenFed. Now, one thing to keep in mind, because I happen to have this account, is that you do need to maintain a balance of at least $500 in there at all times. Otherwise, you start to pay a monthly fee, which kind of negates the purpose of trying to get the annual fee waived on this credit card. So that's something to keep in mind. There are ways to get the annual fee waived, but one, for most people, might involve parking $500 in a checking account tied to this card. You'll have to decide if that's worth it to you. Maybe you decide for the first year, maybe if you think you might close the card later, maybe it's worth parking $500 for a year to save $95. That's up to you. That's up to you what you want to do. But otherwise, you just pay the $95 annual fee. Next is the bonus. They've doubled it from what it used to be. It's now 50,000 of their proprietary points for spending $3,000 in the first 3 months. Now, it is kind of difficult to find valuations or how much the points are worth, but it does look like you can redeem your points for the usual suspects: travel, gift cards, and shopping, which is usually like merchandise, stuff like that. Pretty common at banks and credit unions to have a system like this. Now, it looks like for gift cards and probably similar, like probably merchandise too, your redemption rate is probably like 0.8 cents per point, which is not terribly competitive, but that is what it is. Now, it looks like for travel, it does kind of fluctuate, but it'll be around 1 cent a point. Right around there. You might get a little bit more, you might get a little bit less. It's, again, kind of difficult to find specific information on this, but I think if you value these points at around 1 cent a piece on average, that's probably a good starting point, which makes this bonus worth, again, around $500. Really not bad. Now, what are some of the benefits with this new card? First is they did keep the airline incidental credit. So here, right away, even if you do have to pay that $95 annual fee, you'll probably get it back with this airline credit right there. Now, it is a little bit easier to use than others compared to, say, American Express, where you have to designate a particular airline. This one is just any airline from their list. And those are Alaska, American, Delta, Frontier, Hawaiian, JetBlue, Southwest, United, and Virgin America. So again, you don't have to designate an airline, just any one of those. The ones that catch my eye are obviously Southwest. That's where I'm partial, since I still have the companion pass for now. But a lot of those other ones, most people fly on pretty frequently. Now, the incidental fees are pretty broad, but no, I can answer your question right now, gift cards don't count. They state that pretty explicitly in the terms and conditions that things like gift cards, buying points, that kind of stuff, that's not going to trigger the credit. You can try, see what happens, but they say right in their literature that that doesn't count. What it does work for is really what these fees are intended for, is all the little nickel and dimey kind of stuff that these airlines like to charge. Some are doing away with some of this stuff, but like phone reservation fees, even in-flight purchases, they do say that will count, which is kind of cool. So if you're taking a long flight, like maybe you're flying Hawaiian over to Honolulu or something, you want to get something from the snack cart or some booze or whatever, that'll count. So that's pretty cool too. But then like your baggage fees and all the rest of the little fees, those will all count for this credit. Now, one other interesting benefit is that you do get a credit for the TSA PreCheck or Global Entry program, whichever one you pick. Always do Global Entry though, but you get that whichever credit because it's a different price per program, but you get that once every 4 years. Now, what's interesting about the point earning on this card is that kind of the standard point program is 1.5 on everything, which is pretty typical with what we're seeing in the credit card space, but then 3 times on travel, similar to other much higher tier credit cards. Now, what's also interesting is that 3 times on travel can become 4 times on travel if you meet certain criteria. And again, we go back to their check account or the military. And this goes for prior service too. So if you're honorably discharged, you don't have to be retired, just honorably discharged. That counts as far as PenFed is concerned to meet their military criteria. So you can either go that route or have that Access America checking account that we talked about earlier, having that. Either one of those, you'll get 4 times on travel instead of 3. And what they count as travel is pretty broad. Most things that you can think of do count, like buses, tolls, commuter services, airfare, taxi, hotel, all that kind of stuff. that all counts as travel. So that could be pretty interesting. This is trying to be kind of a lightweight to maybe medium weight travel credit card, all for a $95 annual fee that's relatively easy to get waived. And one of the last travel related benefits is a Priority Pass membership. Now, don't get excited because this is one of the crappy ones. This is the membership that just gives you the privilege to pay $32 whenever you want to use the lounge. And you don't get any free visits included in the membership. Now, I've had Priority Pass for several years now, and I really like it as a benefit that's kind of included with other cards that I have, but I have yet to be to a lounge that I would have felt real good about paying $32 each to get in. There's been a couple that I've been in that had like decent food, open bar, that kind of stuff, but most of the time, the Priority Pass lounges that I've been in, I think maybe $10 to maybe $15 is kind of top of what I would have paid and been okay doing it. So anyway, that's the membership that comes with it. Not particularly beneficial in my view. I think if PenFed wanted to make that more competitive, they would include just some free visit, even two a year. That's all you would really have to do. But a membership where it just gives you the privilege of paying to get in, that seems a little weak to me, especially because the airline incidental credit does count towards day passes into other lounges, and that's $100 a year. So I would think before you would even touch this crappy non-membership for Priority Pass, you would just buy a day pass into a different lounge. But that's just me, and there are lots of other cards that give you complimentary visits anyway for this same annual fee. Like one of the Hilton cards with American Express comes with Priority Pass visits. So that is something they could do to make it a little bit more competitive. And then one of the last changes with this card is that it now runs on the Visa network. This used to be run on American Express. It wasn't an American Express card, it just ran through their payment network. Now it's Visa. And what that means is that it comes with a lot of Visa's benefits, like trip delay over 12 hours, baggage delay reimbursement, purchase protection for 90 days, extended warranty, as well as some rental car coverage too. And they have the details. You can go and download a PDF and read through all the benefits to see which ones interest you and to compare it to your other cards, but it does come with those benefits as part of being on the Visa network. So overall, the PenFed Pathfinder is a pretty interesting card, especially if you can get that annual fee waived by meeting one of the criteria. It's really a no-brainer and probably one I'm gonna add to my wallet pretty soon. Now, last story this week is talking about a pretty interesting offer on the Chase Southwest personal cards. Now, this may be a good one to look at for two reasons. One, it could be a relatively easy way into the companion pass, starting from when you earn it through next year. And two, if you're in a little bit of a gardening state, if you just want to chill out from new applications for a while. So we've talked about the Southwest personal cards in great detail. So if you want to learn the benefits and which card might be right for you, I've got a whole different video for that. I'll throw a card right here and then I'll put it at the end of this video too. So we're just going to talk about the bonus right now. What they're offering across all three cards is 50,000 Southwest points for only spending $2,000 in the first 3 months. Now, I don't know about you, but I consider that a pretty easy bonus to hit. I've made good use out of my companion pass. I'm a little bitter because 2020 was basically stolen from us. We only went on one trip using it in 2020, which really bites. We got it extended through June like everybody else, so we're going to try to use it because I've got a ton of Southwest points and I haven't been able to use them. But 50,000 Southwest points is pretty good, and there are a lot of really competitive redemptions out there for Southwest. So that bonus alone, 50,000 points for $2,000, really not bad. Where it gets a little bit interesting is you can earn an additional 30,000 on top of that if you spend in total, so including that first 2,000, if you spend in total 10,000 in the first 9 months, so a little over 1,100 a month, starting from when you open the card till the end, you'll get a total of 80,000. Now that's on top of the spending that you would otherwise put on the card. Now, the short version, again, go watch the other video about the benefits and details of each card. But they really only earn about 1 point per dollar on pretty much everything except for Southwest purchases. So let's just assume, again, you're gonna get 1 point per dollar. When you're done, you get 80,000 points. you're going to get another 10,000 points from the spending that you had to do to earn the bonus, so now you're at 90,000. To get the companion pass, you only need 125,000. So if you just kept using this card for the year, maybe you've got some other bills to pay, maybe you have to pay into taxes, maybe you can pay your rent or something through services like plastic. You can find some creative ways that don't get into manufactured spending, but you can find some ways to use this card for as much as you can. And if your only goal is to get the companion pass, then just make this card your card until you hit the 125,000 that you need. You could also consider opening up one of the business cards in tandem with it. That's what I did to get it the first time, and then you'll be way good, because even the lowest bonuses on that is more than the 40,000 you would need most of the time. So you could consider that step 2. As soon as you hit this bonus, you could stop spending on the card and just get the business card, and then you'd be there. And by that time, hopefully, the travel world is relatively back to normal. So it could be an interesting way to get the companion pass, again, because that is a pretty hefty spend, $10,000. That might take you a few months depending on your budget and your spending habits. But one, if you want to garden anyway, if you want to take a break from new applications, that's not a bad way to go. But then also, if you want the companion pass, this is a relatively easy way to get you within the finishing line of getting it. So I've got my referral links for the Southwest cards down in the description. Again, it could be a pretty interesting way to get that companion pass, so definitely take a look. And again, if you want to learn more about which card may be right for you, go watch my video on the Southwest cards. But that's all we got for you this week, guys. What I want to know from you is, which of these stories was the most interesting to you? What do you think about the new Pathfinder card from PenFed? Are you going to try to get the companion pass with this interesting Southwest bonus? What do you guys think? Let everybody know down below. If you guys have any other comments or questions, please do leave them down below. I try to get to every single one. If you'd like to get in touch, here's my social media links, which you can find down in the description as well. And last, before we go, guys, if you enjoy straightforward, to the point content like this, where we talk about travel news and the credit card points and miles hobby, please make sure to leave the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Pretty easy and free ways to help support the channel. That's all I've got for you this time, guys. See you at the next one. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure to drop a comment down below and give the video a thumbs up. Here's some other videos that I think you'll really like. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well. See you at the next one.